People think transformation always arrives like an earthquake, loud, violent, impossible to ignore. But the truth is far more unsettling. Real change often whispers. It slips into your life quietly, disguised as something ordinary, something you've seen 1,000 times before and dismissed without a second thought. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the smallest daily habit you've been ignoring isn't insignificant at all? What if it's a mirror reflecting your discipline, your patience, your relationship with your own body and mind? A simple spoon of olive oil, not a miracle cure, not a magic trick, and certainly not what social media wants you to believe. This isn't about weight loss hacks or overnight healing fantasies. This is about what happens when you commit, truly commit, to one intentional act every single day for 7 days, and how that act exposes something far deeper than digestion or cholesterol or calories, because the body is honest, brutally honest. It keeps score of every shortcut, every excuse, every moment you chose comfort over consistency, and when you finally give it something real, something ancient, something unprocessed, something that humans thrived on long before modern confusion, it responds, not instantly, not dramatically. But truthfully, most people drink olive oil expecting fireworks. They want a headline result, a before and after photo they can brag about. And when that doesn't happen, they quit. Not because it failed, but because it revealed something they weren't ready to face: discomfort, the subtle discipline of doing something daily without applause, the patience required to let the body recalibrate instead of dominate it, the humility of realizing that health, like confidence, like purpose, is built slowly, molecule by molecule, decision by decision. This isn't really about olive oil. It's about who you become when you stop outsourcing responsibility for your well-being. It's about what happens inside you, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, when you choose nourishment over noise, when you stop chasing extremes and start honoring fundamentals. For 7 days, something shifts, not in the way you expect, but in the way you need. And that's where the real story begins. There is a quiet power in repetition, in doing the same small act day after day, while the world outside clamors for drama and spectacle. Most of us crave transformation like a lightning strike, sudden, visible, undeniable. We want to see mountains move in an instant, but life rarely works that way. Real change whispers. It seeps into your bones and your mind in ways that are almost imperceptible until one day you notice you are no longer the person you were. Drinking a spoonful of olive oil each morning is not about the oil itself. It is about what that act teaches you about yourself. It is a commitment, a vow, a deliberate choice to honor your body with consistency in a world obsessed with shortcuts. Think about a river carving through stone. Day after day, the water flows over rock, relentless, patient. At first, nothing seems to happen, but over months, years, decades, the river transforms the landscape, not with force, but with persistence. This is the essence of small daily rituals. Each spoonful of olive oil is a drop in the river, a quiet act that says, I choose consistency over convenience. I choose long-term health over instant pleasure. And with every day that passes, you build something invisible, something resilient, something unshakable. It is easy to dismiss the small as insignificant. The world applauds grand gestures, overnight success stories, viral breakthroughs. But the true architects of life's most profound achievements understand the hidden power of tiny, repeated choices. Drinking olive oil daily may not be glamorous. It may not produce headlines. It may not even feel transformative on day 1, 2, or even 3. But the act is a seed, and seeds grow in silence. Consider someone who has struggled for years with fatigue, digestive discomfort, or low mental clarity. They try different diets, supplements, and routines, but nothing seems to stick. Then they commit to one small, simple habit, just 1 spoon of olive oil every day. They are surprised to find subtle shifts, a gentle clarity in the mind, a quiet energy in the body, a sense of alignment that was previously missing. These small, almost imperceptible improvements compound, creating momentum that begins to ripple into other areas of life: discipline in work, patience in relationships, resilience in the face of challenges. There is a profound psychological truth here. The smallest actions can build the largest confidence. Each day you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, capable, and worthy of consistency. Each small victory strengthens the neural pathways of discipline, teaching your brain to crave integrity over impulse. By week's end, what began as a simple, mundane act transforms into a declaration of self-respect, a statement that you are the person who honors your promises to yourself first and foremost. And this is the lesson that goes beyond olive oil. Every meaningful change in life begins with a single repeated choice. Whether it is journaling, exercising, reading, or practicing gratitude, the secret lies not in intensity but in persistence. The act itself becomes a mirror, reflecting your commitment, your values, and your capacity to sustain effort, even when external validation is absent. Drinking olive oil daily is a ritual of presence. It is an invitation to step into your own life with intention, to reclaim moments that otherwise pass unnoticed. You are telling the universe, I am here. I am capable of consistency. I am choosing to shape my reality through deliberate small acts. And in that choice, you are already transformed, because transformation is never about the grand gesture. It is about who you become in the quiet, repeated acts that no one else sees. Your body never lies. It is a living diary, a reflection of every decision you've ever made, conscious or unconscious. Every meal you skipped, every late night you justified, every moment you chose distraction over presence, it's all written in your posture, your energy, your digestion, and your clarity of mind. Drinking olive oil daily for 7 days is not just a gesture toward health. It is a mirror that reveals the hidden truths of your habits, your priorities, and your self-respect. When you begin this practice, you notice the subtle signals first: a gentle shift in digestion, a small clarity in thought, a slight easing of tension that you didn't even realize you were holding. These are whispers from your body, messages that say, I notice, I respond, I honor you when you honor me. And if you ignore them, if you dismiss the signals, your body responds with discomfort, fatigue, or even frustration, a brutal but necessary reminder that neglect has consequences. There's a profound psychological lesson here. Many of us live disconnected from our own physiology, treating the body as a machine to be exploited rather than a partner to be respected. We chase productivity, adrenaline, and external validation while ignoring the subtle wisdom of our own systems. Drinking olive oil daily is a deliberate act of reconnection. It teaches you to listen, to observe, and to respond with care. It reminds you that health is not separate from your choices. It is the natural consequence of them. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, but instead of your reflection, you see a visualization of your habits, your emotional resilience, and your mental clarity. Every imperfection, every strength, every pattern becomes visible. Drinking olive oil daily is like polishing that mirror. It doesn't create perfection, but it clarifies what is already there. It exposes where you have been cutting corners, where you have been neglecting yourself, and where you have been truly nurturing your body and mind. And the implications extend far beyond physiology. When you honor your body through consistent, mindful actions, your mind follows. Discipline becomes tangible, confidence grows, emotional resilience strengthens, relationships improve because you are showing up fully present, fully grounded, fully aligned. Your body, in other words, is the first teacher of self-mastery. If you cannot commit to this simple daily act, what does that reveal about your ability to commit to yourself in other areas of life? Even more compelling is how the body's response can teach patience and humility. The changes are rarely dramatic. You will not see immediate transformations, but subtle improvements accumulate. Energy rises gently, mental clarity sharpens, digestion stabilizes, and a quiet sense of well-being emerges. These small, honest signals demand that you slow down, that you notice, that you align your actions with your intentions. In doing so, you are not only nourishing your body, but you are learning to respect the truth of cause and effect in every aspect of your existence. Your body holds the scorecard of your life. It reflects consistency, honesty, and care in ways that no external measure ever can. Drinking olive oil daily is an act of accountability, a tangible commitment to your own well-being. It is a conversation with yourself. I see you. I'm here. I will honor the vessel that carries me through this life. And when you start to truly see the feedback your body gives, you begin to understand that every choice, no matter how small, is a reflection of who you are and who you are becoming. In that mirror, the truth is undeniable. Health is never an accident. It is a reflection of the daily choices you make, the ones you honor, the ones you ignore, and the ones you finally consciously choose to embrace. In a world that rewards immediacy, patience is a rare and radical act. We have been conditioned to expect transformation like a headline, a notification, or a click, instant, undeniable, and gratifying. Yet, the deepest changes, the ones that touch the mind, body, and soul simultaneously, rarely arrive on demand. Drinking olive oil daily for 7 days is a lesson in this truth. It forces you to slow down, to resist the seductive pull of immediate results, and to embrace the quiet rhythm of slow, consistent change. At first, the act feels almost trivial. A spoonful of oil, what could it possibly do? But therein lies the hidden power. The subtlety of change is a mirror of life itself. Just as trust, resilience, and mastery cannot be rushed, neither can the body fully respond to care that is impatient, inconsistent, or half-hearted. The oil may not dramatically transform your cholesterol or energy on day one. It may not produce a visual before and after picture. But each time you show up, each time you commit to the ritual, you are strengthening a muscle far more important than any bicep, the muscle of patience, endurance, and faith in yourself. Consider the analogy of a sculptor and a block of marble. No strike, no matter how forceful, instantly creates beauty. It is in the steady, deliberate chiseling, one careful stroke after another, that the masterpiece, emerges. Drinking olive oil is one of those strokes. Each day you take it, you are shaping yourself from within, refining habits, clarifying intention, and building resilience against the impulse to quit when results are delayed. The discipline learned here is transferable. Patience becomes a lens through which you view every challenge, every setback, and every aspiration in life. Patience over instant gratification is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is understanding that the work you do in silence, the choices no one sees, is far more transformative than the applause of immediate success. Many of us abandon rituals because we are addicted to the dopamine of rapid results. We expect life to reward effort immediately, and when it does not, we mistake the delay for failure. Drinking olive oil daily strips away that illusion. It reminds you that the process itself is the reward, and the benefits, physical, mental, emotional, compound over time. Even more, this practice exposes the inner resistance you carry. Every time you hesitate, every time you consider skipping the ritual, you encounter your own impatience and self-doubt. These moments are crucibles of character. By choosing patience, by taking the spoonful despite the inner voice screaming for convenience or comfort, you assert control over impulses and align yourself with long-term vision rather than fleeting desire. In essence, patience becomes a practice of self-mastery, proof that you can honor your commitments even when the results are invisible. There is also a psychological transformation that occurs when you embrace this slow, steady rhythm. Your mind begins to rewire itself to value consistency over chaos, reliability over randomness, and depth over superficiality. You start noticing patterns in other areas of life, relationships, work, creativity, where patience yields far greater returns than urgency ever could. The act of drinking olive oil daily becomes emblematic, a ritual that teaches a universal principle. Profound results are rarely instantaneous. They are earned through commitment, presence, and unwavering faith in the invisible process of growth. And ultimately, the practice becomes a meditation on time itself. It teaches you to inhabit the present moment fully, to respect the body as it transforms gradually, and to embrace the discomfort of delayed gratification. The reward is subtle but undeniable: a strengthened mind, a disciplined spirit, and a body that begins to reflect your steadfast commitment to care, consistency, and long-term vision. Patience is not a pause, it is the pulse of transformation, and in those 7 days of ritual, you begin to feel it, the quiet, steady hum of change taking root, reminding you that everything worth achieving unfolds in its own time, and that your devotion to the process is the greatest gift you can offer yourself. What most people fail to understand is that health is never purely physical. The body is a vessel, yes, but it is inseparable from the mind, the heart, and the quiet inner spaces where meaning and emotion dwell. Drinking olive oil daily is not just a gesture toward digestion, cholesterol, or inflammation. It is a practice that ripples outward, touching your emotional resilience, mental clarity, and even your spiritual equilibrium. The act is deceptively simple, yet beneath its simplicity lies a profound opportunity for holistic healing. Consider the mind of someone who has spent years caught in cycles of stress, anxiety, or self-doubt. The brain is a reflection of the body it inhabits, and the body is a reflection of the choices it is given. When you provide it with nourishment that is pure, consistent, and intentional, you send a message far deeper than calories or nutrients. You are worthy of care, you are capable of consistency, and you can trust yourself to honor your commitments. That message seeps into your mental patterns. You begin to notice intrusive thoughts quieting, clarity replacing fog, and a sense of emotional balance emerging where previously there was tension. Healing beyond the physical is also about reclaiming agency over your life. Too often, we outsource our well-being, chasing the latest supplements, the newest workouts, or the next viral health hack, hoping someone else can solve what only we can. Olive oil, simple and ancient, reminds us that transformation begins within, in the daily choices we make when no one is watching. Each spoonful is a tangible reminder that you are the steward of your own life, and that true healing comes from actions that align body, mind, and spirit. Emotionally, this practice cultivates patience, self-compassion, and trust. When you nourish yourself daily, you confront resistance not with force, but with presence. You learn to sit with discomfort, the subtle urges to skip, to rationalize, to delay, and to respond with care. That patience and presence translate directly into your interactions with others. You become more grounded in relationships, more capable of listening, and more attuned to the emotional currents that govern human connection. By tending to your inner vessel, you unconsciously elevate the quality of every interaction in your life. Spiritually, the act of consistent, mindful nourishment carries a rhythm that resonates with something ancient within you. Long before processed foods and synthetic fixes, humans recognized the sacredness of food, the ritual of care, and the power of consistency. Each spoonful of olive oil becomes a small meditation, a silent acknowledgement of the body's intelligence and the mind's potential for alignment. In those moments, the mundane becomes sacred, the ordinary becomes transformative, and a quiet harmony begins to emerge between your body, your thoughts, and your sense of purpose. Even the subtle physical responses, improved digestion, gentle energy, reduced inflammation, are intertwined with these deeper layers of healing. They are not isolated benefits, they are signals of alignment. Your body, your mind, and your spirit begin to speak the same language, reminding you that well-being is never fragmented. It is holistic, integrated, and inseparable from the choices you make daily. By the end of 7 days, what begins as a physical experiment evolves into a multi-dimensional awakening. You realize that self-care is not just about treating symptoms or chasing results. It is about honoring the sacred interplay between body, mind, and spirit. Drinking olive oil daily becomes a metaphor for all acts of intentional care, small, consistent, deliberate actions that ripple outward into every facet of your life. You are not merely feeding your body, you are nurturing your mental clarity, your emotional resilience, and your spiritual alignment. Healing in its truest sense is never one-dimensional. And in these 7 days, you begin to feel it, the subtle harmonization of your whole self, a quiet but undeniable shift that reminds you that health, meaning, and purpose are inseparable, and that transformation is never purely physical. Discomfort is the crucible of transformation. It is the unspoken teacher that most people avoid at all costs, chasing convenience, comfort, and the illusion of ease. Drinking olive oil daily for 7 days is deceptively simple, yet it forces you to confront the subtle resistances that govern so much of your life. Every time you pause before taking that spoonful, you encounter a choice: surrender to ease or step into discipline, consistency, and self-respect. It is in these small, often invisible decisions that courage is forged. Think about the moments when growth demanded discomfort in your life. Perhaps it was a difficult conversation with a loved one, a bold step toward a new career, or an honest admission to yourself about a habit you needed to change. Every time you faced resistance and still chose action, you strengthened an inner resource, the courage to act in alignment with your values, even when the path was uncomfortable. Drinking olive oil daily may seem minor in comparison, yet it is a mirror of those larger challenges. It exposes your tolerance for delay, your willingness to prioritize long-term benefit over immediate satisfaction, and your commitment to honoring yourself in a world that constantly invites shortcuts. There is a strange beauty in this discomfort. It is not pain for pain's sake. It is the gentle, persistent nudge that awakens awareness and calls you to attention. The body resists change, the mind resists consistency, the heart resists discipline. And yet, each time you show up, each time you swallow that spoonful of oil despite the inner protest, you are quietly rewriting your relationship with resistance. You are teaching yourself that discomfort is not a signal to retreat, but an invitation to evolve, to step fully into your potential, and to claim agency over your own life. Facing discomfort also teaches humility. It reveals the limits of your control, the hidden corners of your procrastination, and the subtle ways you justify inaction. You begin to see that real growth is never comfortable, convenient, or instantaneous. It is deliberate, steady, and often unglamorous. And in the process, you cultivate resilience, the ability to persist in the face of resistance, to embrace the tension, and to trust that small, consistent actions will yield profound outcomes, even on a psychological level. Confronting DI. Discomfort in this way reshapes your mindset. You begin to notice the patterns that hold you back, the excuses, the rationalizations, the fleeting desires for immediate gratification, and you learn to meet them with conscious choice instead of impulsive reaction. The courage developed in these moments translates to other areas of life, relationships, work, creativity, and personal goals. By practicing discomfort in a controlled, intentional way, you build an inner armor that allows you to face far greater challenges with calm, clarity, and purpose. Ultimately, this is why the simple act of drinking olive oil becomes far more than a physical habit. It is a practice of moral and emotional courage, a declaration that you will not be ruled by convenience, impulse, or avoidance. It is a reminder that your growth, your health, and your mastery of self are always on the other side of discomfort. And as you step into it consistently, day after day, week after week, you begin to understand that the smallest acts of courage are often the ones that transform the deepest parts of your being. Discomfort, when met with discipline, becomes your ally. It sharpens your awareness, strengthens your resolve, and expands your capacity to live with intention. In 7 days of persistent mindful action, you begin to experience this truth firsthand. Courage is not the absence of resistance, but the choice to act in spite of it. And that choice, repeated daily, becomes the foundation upon which every meaningful transformation is built. Power is rarely given. It is rarely handed down in grand gestures or external validation. True power is reclaimed quietly, deliberately in the small acts that declare, I am in control of my life, my choices, and my destiny. Drinking olive oil daily for 7 days is one of those acts. At first glance, it seems insignificant. A spoonful of golden liquid. Yet in that simplicity lies the opportunity to seize agency, to reclaim authority over your body, your mind, and ultimately your life. Every decision we make is an opportunity to exercise power, choosing convenience over consistency, indulgence over discipline, or distraction over presence surrenders control. But when you consciously commit to something as simple as a daily ritual, you are staking a claim. You are saying, I decide what I put into my body. I decide how I honor my health. I decide who I am becoming. Each spoonful of olive oil is a small victory, a tangible proof that you are not a passive observer of your life, but an active participant, sculpting yourself from the inside out. Consider the ripple effect of this reclamation. As you consistently honor this ritual, your confidence grows. You begin to trust your decisions, your ability to follow through, and your capacity to influence outcomes in your favor. This trust is not abstract. It manifests in every corner of life. Work becomes less overwhelming because you have learned to prioritize intentionally. Relationships improve because you show up with clarity and integrity. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable now appear as problems to be addressed with presence, patience, and confidence. Reclaiming personal power also means reclaiming your time and energy. Too often, we allow external forces, social media, societal expectations, fleeting trends to dictate our behaviors. We hand over authority to the loudest voice, the easiest distraction, the path of least resistance. But a daily ritual, no matter how small, is a rebellion against this erosion of agency. It is a conscious act of self-governance. By choosing what enters your body, by choosing to honor your health, and by choosing to act consistently, you reassert control over the most foundational aspects of life. The beauty of this reclaimed power is that it is holistic. It is not dominance over others or superficial success. It is mastery over self. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions begin to align. You no longer wait for motivation to strike. You create it through action. You no longer rely on external approval. You generate internal validation through consistency and integrity. This power is both liberating and grounding. It anchors you in a reality where choices, not circumstances, define the trajectory of your life even more. This reclamation invites reflection and intentionality. Each day you take that spoonful, you are reminded of the control you possess and the life you can craft. You begin to see other areas where surrender has limited you, unfinished projects, unresolved conflicts, unspoken truths, and you approach them with newfound courage. The act becomes a metaphor for all aspects of agency, that even the smallest, most consistent choices are capable of reclaiming territory in your life that you may have surrendered unknowingly. By the end of 7 days, something profound occurs. The ritual that seemed mundane transforms into a declaration. You are capable, you are disciplined, and you are in command of your own evolution. You no longer wait for life to deliver change. You initiate it moment by moment, decision by decision. Reclaiming personal power begins with the simplest of acts repeated with intention, and it ripples outward, touching every corner of existence. It is not an abstract concept. It is lived, felt, and embodied. And in that embodiment, you discover the most enduring truth. Transformation always begins with the choices you own, the habits you honor, and the courage to act, no matter how small the act may seem.